Her words hit me like a slap in the face. I felt a deep sense of betrayal, not just from her, but from Chris as well. I couldn't believe how twisted this situation had become. I was fighting not just for my belongings, but for my dignity and sanity. The tension thickened in the air, and I realized that my confrontation with Megan was just the beginning. The battle lines were drawn, and I was ready to expose the truth. But little did I know this would lead to a confrontation that would change everything. That night, as I lay in bed, a mix of emotions swirled inside me: anger, frustration, and newfound determination. I had to take action before it was too late. The next family gathering was just around the corner, and I decided then and there that I would reveal everything. But I couldn't help but wonder what the fallout would be. Would Chris finally believe me, or would this lead to an even greater betrayal? Only time would tell. The day of the family gathering arrived, and a knot twisted in my stomach. It was supposed to be a joyful occasion, a chance to celebrate Chris' recent promotion at work, but all I could think about was the confrontation that awaited me. Chris's family would be there, and I knew this was my opportunity to finally expose Megan. I could hardly sleep the night before, rehearsing what I would say in my head. Would they believe me? Would Chris finally stand by my side? As I dressed that morning, I chose a navy blue dress that hugged my curves just right. It made me feel confident, as if I could face whatever lay ahead. Chris walked into the bedroom, smiling. "You look beautiful, Ratch," he said, planting a kiss on my forehead. His words should have comforted me, but instead, they felt like a mask hiding the tension between us. "Thanks, Chris. I just hope everything goes well today," I replied, forcing a smile. "Of course. Everyone is excited to see you," he said, oblivious to the storm brewing in my mind. When we arrived at his parents' house, the atmosphere was lively. Chris's mom, Karen, was bustling around in the kitchen, and the smell of grilled meat filled the air. Relatives mingled in the backyard, sipping drinks and catching up. I forced myself to be social, chatting with Chris's cousins and laughing at their jokes, but my mind was elsewhere. As the afternoon wore on, I caught glimpses of Megan chatting animatedly with the family, her laughter ringing out as if nothing was wrong. I felt my blood boil. How can she act so carefree when she had been stealing from me? I glanced at Chris, who was completely engrossed in a conversation about work, blissfully unaware of the drama lurking beneath the surface. Finally, it was time for the main event, the toast for Chris's promotion. Everyone gathered around, glasses in hand, and I took a deep breath, my heart racing. This was it. As Chris stood up to speak, I felt a wave of determination wash over me. "Thanks everyone for coming. It means a lot to have my family here to celebrate this achievement," Chris began, and the crowd erupted in cheers. I watched him beam with pride, and for a moment, I felt a pang of nostalgia for the man I fell in love with. After the toast, Chris raised his glass again. "I just want to say how grateful I am for my amazing sister, Megan. She's always been there for me." That was my cue. As applause filled the air, I stood up, feeling the weight of every eye in the room turned toward me. "I need to say something too," I announced, my voice slightly trembling. "It's important." Chris's smile faltered, and confusion washed over his face. "Ah, Rachel, maybe now isn't the time." "No, Chris, it's time to address some things," I interrupted, my heart pounding in my chest. "Megan has been stealing from me. I have proof." Gasps filled the room, and Megan's face turned pale. "What are you talking about?" she exclaimed, her voice rising in pitch. "You can't just accuse me like that." "I'm not accusing you without evidence," I shot back, pulling out my phone. "I have video footage of you taking money from my lockbox, and don't think I'm unaware of the jewelry you've borrowed." I connected my phone to the TV, and the screen lit up with footage of Megan rummaging through my closet. The room fell silent as everyone watched, eyes wide with shock. I felt a mix of triumph and dread. This was the moment I had been waiting for, but I also knew it would turn everything upside down. The aftermath was chaotic. Chris's face turned crimson, and he swung around to face Megan, fury radiating from him. "How could you do this?" he yelled, pointing at her. "You've betrayed my wife." Megan's composure shattered. You don't understand. I was desperate. I thought I could pay you back once I found the job, she cried, tears streaming down her face. Desperate doesn't excuse theft, Megan. I interjected, feeling a rush of adrenaline. My sister stole my personal belongings and cash from my lockbox. After secretly gathering evidence, I confronted her during a family gathering, only for my husband to explode in anger, shouting and siding with her. He slapped me hard, sending me crashing to the ground. Feeling vengeful, I decided to take action. But just as the police were about to arrive, something unexpected happened that changed everything. Hi, I'm Rachel, a 34-year-old consultant living in sunny Los Angeles. Life here often feels like a dream: warm weather, beautiful beaches, and a lively social scene. My husband, Chris, is a successful software engineer, and we've built a life together that many would envy. We live in a stunning home adorned with modern decor, and our weekends are usually filled with brunches, parties, and outings with friends. Everything seemed perfect, or at least I thought so. But life has a way of throwing unexpected challenges our way. It all began when Chris's sister, Megan, lost her job. At 29, she had been struggling to find stable work for some time, so when she asked if she could stay with us, I felt compelled to say yes. After all, family is important, right? Little did I know that this decision would trigger a series of events that would shatter my perception of my perfect life. Megan moved in shortly after losing her job. Initially, I was hopeful that having her around would strengthen our family bond. We tried to make her feel welcome by including her in our daily routines, but soon, I started noticing strange occurrences around the house. It began with my favorite luxury watch, which I had left on the dresser one night, only to find it missing the next morning. When I asked Megan about it, she laughed and said, "Oh, I thought it was mine. My bad." I brushed it off, thinking it was just a silly mistake. After all, who would think twice about a watch? But that was just the beginning. As the days went by, I noticed more and more items disappearing. My diamond ring, some makeup, and even a designer handbag. Each time I confronted Megan, she dismissed my concerns, insisting it was all just a misunderstanding. "I'm sorry, Rachel. I didn't mean to take your things. I just got confused." Chris always sided with her, which made my skin crawl. "Babe, you know Megan's going through a tough time. You shouldn't jump to conclusions," he would say casually, brushing off my concerns. The real turning point came when I discovered money missing from my personal lockbox. I had always kept a stash of cash there for emergencies, but one day I found a few $1,500 bills gone. Panic set in, and I couldn't shake the feeling that Megan was somehow involved. I confronted Chris about it, my voice trembling. "Chris, I think Megan has been stealing from me. I'm missing money." He barely looked up from his laptop. "Maybe you just forgot you spent it, Rachel. You know how it is. Sometimes we miscount," he replied dismissively. My heart sank. My own husband didn't believe me. It felt like I was losing my grip on reality. That's when I realized something was seriously wrong. Chris was blind to the manipulation occurring right under our roof. Frustration boiled inside me, and I decided I had to take matters into my own hands. I devised a plan to catch Megan red-handed. I bought some invisible ink and marked a few $1,500 bills. I also set up a hidden camera in my walk-in closet where the lockbox was located. I knew this was a risk, but I had to know the truth. Days turned into a week, and I was on edge. Each day I would come home and check the footage, my heart racing, hoping for a glimpse of what was happening in my own home. Finally, on the fourth day, I got my first breakthrough. There she was, Megan, brazenly rummaging through my lockbox. She took the marked bills and even one of my rings. My heart pounded as I watched the betrayal unfold before my eyes. "Got you," I whispered to myself, determination flooding my veins. Armed with this proof, I felt a mix of anger and relief. It was time to confront Megan. I found her in the living room, casually scrolling through her phone. "Megan, we need to talk," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "What's up?" she replied, still not looking up. "I know you've been stealing money from my lockbox. I have proof." Her eyes narrowed, and for a second, I could see her mask slipping. "What do you mean?" "That's crazy. I would never do that." I took a deep breath, my hands trembling slightly. "I've got it all on camera. You can either come clean or we do this the hard way." Her bravado faltered for a moment, and then she forced a laugh. "You think I'm scared of some footage? Good luck convincing Chris. He'll never believe you over his sister you took from me, and that's not okay." The room buzzed with murmurs, family members exchanging glances. Processing the revelation, I felt raw and exposed, but I stood my ground, determined to defend my actions. Chris turned to me, his expression shifting from anger to concern. "Rachel, I had no idea. I'm so sorry for not believing you," he stammered. "I should have trusted you." My heart swelled at his words, but the relief was short-lived. "You have to understand, this isn't just about you and me, it's about her actions too," I reminded him, pointing at Megan, who was now sobbing uncontrollably. "We need to figure out how to move forward as a family." The air was thick with tension, and I could feel the weight of everyone's expectations on my shoulders. Karen stepped forward, her voice trembling. "Megan, this is serious. You need to take responsibility for what you've done." Megan nodded, her tears flowing freely. I know. I messed up. I'm so sorry, Rachel. I never meant for it to go this far." With the family gathered around, I realized this was more than just a confrontation. It was an opportunity for healing. "I want to make it clear that I won't tolerate this behavior in my home. If you want to be a part of this family, you need to own up to your mistakes and work towards rebuilding trust," I said firmly, my heart racing but my voice steady. Megan looked up, her eyes red and puffy. "I will, I promise. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right," she said, sincerity creeping into her voice. Chris nodded, his expression shifting to one of support. "We're all here for you, but it's up to you to change," he added, standing by my side. As the evening wore on, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. The truth was out, and while it had rocked our family's foundation, it was also the start of a new chapter. We would need time to heal. But for the first time in a while, I felt hopeful. In the days that followed, Megan worked hard to regain my trust, attending therapy and searching for a job. Chris and I found new ways to connect, discussing our feelings openly and rebuilding our relationship. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but I was ready to face it head on. With each passing day, we were learning to navigate this complicated web of family dynamics, and I was determined to emerge stronger on the other side. The experience taught me the value of trust and communication in relationships. As we continued to face challenges together, I realized that family could be messy, but it was also worth fighting for. Together, we would learn to rise from the ashes, stronger and more united than ever. I stared at Chris, my heart pounding. "This isn't about me, it's about the truth. She's been stealing from us." But he wasn't listening. "You've turned my family against me. How could you do this?" His voice escalated in anger. Then, in an unexpected move, he slapped me hard across the face. Silence enveloped the room, and shock washed over me. I had never imagined Chris would resort to such violence. Gasps filled the air as family members processed what had just happened, but my world narrowed to Chris and his furious expression. "Get out of my house, Rachel. I want a divorce." His words struck me like a lightning bolt, leaving me reeling. I had hoped to expose Megan's deceit and reclaim my life, but instead, I found myself being ejected from everything I had built with Chris. Tears streamed down my cheeks as I gathered my belongings and made my way to the door. The shocked faces of my in-laws blurred in my vision, and all I could hear was the rapid thump of my heart. Megan wore a victorious smirk, clearly relishing the chaos she had orchestrated. Stepping outside, the weight of the world pressed down on me, making it hard to breathe. I had stood up for myself, but it had cost me everything. As I walked away from the house, an unsettling feeling settled in my gut. This was only the beginning of a much larger battle. I would have to find a way to reclaim my dignity and strength, even if it meant facing Chris and Megan again. That night, everything felt different. I left Chris's parents' house with my heart shattered, my mind racing, and my emotions in turmoil. I aimlessly drove around Los Angeles, a city that once felt vibrant now appearing foreign and cold. How had it come to this? I never imagined that asserting myself would lead to such a painful outcome. But one thing was clear, I couldn't let this defeat define me. I spent the night at a hotel, my heart heavy with betrayal. The next morning, as I stared at my reflection in the mirror, I realized I had a choice. I could either wallow in despair or fight back. Anger surged within me, igniting a fire I hadn't felt in a long time. I picked up my phone and called Lisa, my college best friend. She always had a way of lifting my spirits, and I needed her now more than ever. Rachel, thank God you called. I was so worried about you, Lisa said, her voice a soothing balm for my frayed nerves. I'm a mess, Lisa. Chris slapped me and told me he wants a divorce. I don't even know where to start, I admitted, my voice trembling. You're stronger than you think. You need to take control of this situation. Have you thought about getting a lawyer? She suggested. I know I should, but I'm scared. Rachel, this is about your dignity and safety. You need to protect yourself. I'll help you find someone, Lisa reassured me. With her encouragement, I found a divorce attorney named Karen, who specialized in cases involving emotional and physical abuse. Walking into her office, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I want to file for divorce. I told her, my voice steady. Karen listened intently, taking notes as I recounted the events that had led me here. It's crucial to document everything, Rachel. We need to establish a pattern of his behavior, she said, her tone both professional and compassionate. I'd also want to press charges for the slap. I can't let him get away with that, I declared, feeling empowered. Absolutely, we can pursue that as well. It's important to hold him accountable, Karen replied. Relief washed over me. I was finally taking control of my life. As the weeks passed, I immersed myself in work and the legal process. I was determined to rise in my fashion consulting career, channeling my energy into projects that inspired me. My hard work paid off. My boss recognized my dedication and soon promoted me to a senior position. This sense of accomplishment fueled my resolve to move forward. Meanwhile, Chris and Megan faced their own consequences. News of Megan's death circulated within their family, and I learned through Lisa that